there's so much to learn and to know that, of course, you're going to be naive when you're new here.
Right.
And there are places out there that, will want to take your money and tell you to sign this and sign that. And it's intimidating and it's scary. And I made some mistakes for sure when I moved here. And so, I think if I can just be at the very least, a sounding board, a second opinion for somebody before they make those mistakes, then there's just one less person walking around Bambi-footed out there,
right. Hey guys, my name is Jeff McMahon and I play the piano for people. I've played on some big records, played on some big stages, and I've played with some big stars. Big or small, they're all the same. Taking someone with a dream, playing their song, and trying to get them further up the ladder. So that's what we'll do here. Have a conversation, maybe shine a light, and play some music. And I'll be on piano. This is McMahon on keys. Sheridan Gates.
Hey.
We were just trying to figure out exactly how we met.
Yeah.
I can get within 2 days.
That's impressive. That's really impressive.
Well, it's not impressive. I looked it up.
Oh. Well, I won't tell if you don't tell. Yeah, but I feel like we met a couple times, I think, in passing at writers' rounds in town, and then.
Yeah. Well, I know that you had written or were writing with Zach Stone.
Yes.
Yep. Who's a friend who I'd worked with a lot. And a couple of days after our first meeting, wherever that was, you were filming the duet, This Feeling, with Zach.
That's right.
And I came by the studio.
Yes. That was a fun day.
Yeah.
We were, rest in peace to the tracking room. That was the best studio in town. I loved that space. Yeah. And I filmed 2 cover songs that day. And Zach was my duet partner. That was really fun.
Was that his project? Was that your project?
That was my project.
Yeah.
I think I just got to a point where I really wanted to release more music and, didn't want to, there's every excuse in the book to just put something off or, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And I remember sitting there being like, you know what? Shoot, let's just do it. And so I picked a Shania song that I wanted to sing because I grew up on Shania. So I did, oh my gosh, the
Chainsmokers.
The Chainsmokers was This Feeling.
Right.
And I wanted to do that with Zach because we had been writing a lot together, and his voice is awesome. And that was just a fun, relevant song that was, I think it had recently come out. And then I did a Shania song that I'm completely blanking on the name of right now.
I don't remember.
But it was just one of my favorites, and I grew up on her. So, and I had never done a Shania song.
Did you do that day? I just remember the one song.
I think I did it before you guys came.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have an excuse.
Yeah. Your memory, I guarantee, is far better than mine. I'm sad to say.
Actually, what I remembered, I had forgotten that we essentially met. The videotaping was the substantial meeting.
Yeah.
Because a few days after that, I was doing something at the Bluebird. And that was when I had called you. You
invited me.
Yeah.
And that was my very first time at the Bluebird.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I'm glad you're welcome.
I was just going to say thank you. I was like, that was such a wonderful night. I sat in the corner and it was just cozy, and what a special place.
Yeah.
How many times have you played the Bluebird?
I have played, I've only done it one time as a writer.
Okay.
And actually that time was an accident. You typically have to work through the machinery to get into the Bluebird. And I was actually there. I was there with Troy Castellano.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know Troy?
I have met him before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Troy had done the round. He was doing the round, and he was wanting to bring in Ava Page.
Oh, love her.
And at the time, Ava, cut to the end, Ava's doing great. Ava's awesome. Ava's healthy. It's all good. However, at that time, she had been recently diagnosed with leukemia, and she was in the middle of that fight.
Yeah.
And he wanted to have the spot for her, but he knew that at the very last minute, they could get her, medical update, and they could say she can't go out. So I agreed to play for everybody. McMahon on keys, playing for everybody. And if at the last minute something happened, I could fill in as a writer, but I would not get my feelings hurt if I couldn't do it. Because it wasn't a bucket list thing for me. I'm not trying to build a career as a songwriter, per se.
Yeah.
Our hope was that I would not get to do any of my songs, that she would be there. But at the last minute, she couldn't do it. So that was my first Bluebird. And then I've been there a few times as a player, playing for other people, accompanying generally everybody that wants me to. Because
that's something I admire that about you so much. Your ability and you take these younger artists into your fold, and you just say, hey, let me accompany you. What can I do for you? And that's so generous. That doesn't happen very often in this town. And I think that's why I wanted to be your friend, because I was like, you're a good guy. And we as artists appreciate you giving back.
You're sweet. So, you're sweet. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I know that a lot of what you're doing kind of comes from that same place. So, I came to town, I didn't know anybody when I came to town. And if I can be the solution to somebody else coming to town alone, particularly girls, not for any unfortunate reason, but just because I know there's a lot of ogres in this town, and there's a lot of great people too, but if I can, be a safe place. Yeah.
Well, we definitely have that in common, for sure. And, you've obviously been in this town a lot longer than I have, but I think you're never too young or too old to just help somebody that comes after you.
Why did you grab a hold of the word safe? I felt like you just grabbed a hold of the word safe.
Did I?
I did.
I know you're not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But you said we have that in common. What does that mean? I felt like you latched onto that word for some reason.
Yeah, well, I just, the music industry, God, we love it so much. That's why we're in it, right? But it's so hard, and it's, especially as a woman, it's so easy to be taken advantage of.
Right.
And there's so much to learn and to know that, of course, you're going to be naive when you're new here.
Right.
And so, and there are places out there that, will want to take your money and tell you to sign this and sign that. And it's intimidating and it's scary. And I made some mistakes for sure when I moved here. And so, I think if I can just be at the very least, a sounding board, a second opinion for somebody before they make those mistakes, then there's just one less person walking around Bambi-footed out there, and feels a little more grounded and
Bambi-footed.
I did not coin that. I got that from my coach, Lindsay Kirkendall.
Okay.
And I love that because it's so visual. You can picture it, right? And you're just walking around this town like, what am I doing?
Well, and the industry's always changing. I mean, I've said this before. I don't know that I've ever said it on this podcast, but the only thing that I can guarantee is all my mistakes are going to be well thought out. Yeah. I won't be haphazard, and I will try to do my homework. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot to navigate.
And the good thing, I guess, is Nashville has grown so much that there are more people moving here that at least have a small network built up, or they know another friend that moved here or something. But, when I moved here, I had one person, I think, I knew.
When did you move here?
Almost 7. It'll be 7 years this fall. So October of 16.
So not long before we met.
No.
Okay.
No, I've met you pretty early on.
Yeah.
Probably first year here.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. A lot has happened since we first met.
Yeah.
I had an internship here in college for summers. So I, was here a summer of 12 and 13. And then
What kind of internship?
I was working with Stormy Warren's TV show,
okay.
Headline Country. He had
Yeah,
on
yeah.
GAC, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Was that before he went to XM Radio?
He, I think, was starting there.
Okay.
He was there already, but was sort of doing both TV
Okay.
and radio. And of course now he's
Right. He just recently left that.
Has another great show going on. But it was what made me fall in love with this town. The energy was electric, and I've never felt an attachment to a place before. But I straight up didn't want to leave. I'll tell you a funny story. I was actually summer of 2011. I grew up a theater geek, so I was doing musical theater down in Texas. I was hired to do theater, like summer stock theater.
At the Casa Mañana, or where were you?
I was at a little town called Granbury, Texas.
I know Granbury.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think it might have gotten hit pretty hard a couple years ago with a tornado. But I haven't been back. But I had the best time. And I drove through Nashville. I stopped in Nashville for one night on my way down to Texas. And I was with my dad, and it was about 150 degrees outside. It was just so hot. And I almost didn't go to Texas. I literally was like, I can't leave this place. I love it so much. And I was here for 24 hours. There was just something so electric about it. I did leave. I went to do my theater, and it was amazing. And
what did you do here during that 24 hours that you were?
I walked around Broadway.
Okay.
I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum.
Okay.
I had family that lived here, so I was staying with them, and I think, they hyped me up about it too. And it was electric. I mean, it was not nearly the Nashville it was today. It wasn't as built up. Broadway was not as rambunctious as it is today, 11 years ago, or 12 years ago. But the live music everywhere just captivated me. And I think that was, ironically, I'm just thinking this through now, I think that was when it switched for me, my path from theater to music. Because I've been singing my whole life, but I was singing through musical theater. I hadn't really explored my songwriting passion yet. But that, I think, is what Nashville changed me. It really did.
Well, I wonder how much it changed you, or just changed the process in which you're going through. I forget where I saw it, but I get very used to seeing country artists make references to Dolly Parton, Shania Twain, Carrie Underwood. I don't see often Sarah Bareilles.
Oh, she's my idol.
Right.
I love her.
Right. I do too. And I would suggest that the idea of Nashville being a path to musical theater is no different than her pop music path that has landed her
on Broadway.
At theater.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember if she won Tonys. She may have won some Tonys for Waitress.
I think she did, or at least some of the actors did. If she didn't, but I think she did.
Yeah. And I, like most typical country music piano players, gets the Broadway newsletters, so I know she's working on a new musical. Yeah. Now.
Wait, she is a new one?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's what was in the trades.
Okay, I need to go check that out. What was in
the trades. So I don't know what it is, but I didn't see anything other than she's working on another thing.
Okay.
And she was a theater kid.
Yeah.
Early on.
There's so much you can learn from theater. I think every single person, no matter what their profession, should take at least an acting class because it builds your stage presence, the ability to improv, because anything can happen. People forget lines. You got to just keep the show must go on. And of course singing. That built up a lot of my sight reading skills, my piano skills, all of that. So I don't miss the day-to-day in theater for me, but I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. We had we recently did an interview with Maddie True, and she was talking about some of the theater experience she had. And even I don't know to what extent you've done. I mean, you've traveled with theater. I mean, that's what you were just talking about. But there's a lot of similarities between a big tour and just the navigation of getting an opening act on stage and off stage before the next one comes in, and light tricks, and there's a lot of logistical things that I learned versions of in high school theater, in my high school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
true.
of that.
I didn't really think about that until now, all the similarities, but I think it has made me a more well-rounded, I'm more aware. I think it made me really, I've always taken an interest in like the tech side of theater growing up. I never dove into it because I always was in the show, but I always took an interest to how things work and the processes.
Right.
And maybe that's just my type A craziness, but I think it has made me a better business owner. And, because every artist, I think, is a CEO running their own business, and we have to think that way if we want it to be commercially viable, if we want to really make this a business. Right. And so I've always sort of had that type A and creative brain combo that, I think is a blessing and a curse sometimes because it makes me a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of none at times. But it's also benefited me, I think, tremendously, which I'm sure we'll get more into the crazy hats that I decided to put on in the last couple of years. But if it can make you feel a little better, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. The jack of all trades thing that's not the actual quote, what you just said. What is it?
It's, this will be an editing trick for the team.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to speak up from the wings.
Still always better than a
master of none. Say it again.
Oh.
A jack of all trades, a master of none is still always better than a master of one.
Right. So when people say a jack of all trades, master of none, they think that is meant to be derogatory.
Right.
But if you learn the whole thing, you realize that actually there's still an upside to being a jack of all trades. Because somebody that focuses on only one thing is inferior to that. You got to learn the whole thing.
Okay, well, thank you.
That's why I encourage people to listen to your whole song.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I'm here for you.
You are here for us. Okay, that just changed a lot of my perspective on this crazy career that I've been pursuing. But no, that's really interesting. I love it. I would never regret the path I've taken and the number of hats that I wear. It just, at times can be a little overwhelming. And I think perhaps it's not master of none. It's perhaps needing to master time management a little bit better.
Right.
And focusing on, 2 or 3 things at a time instead of 15 things,
Well, okay. And to be fair, it's easy for me to kind of jump to the third part of this conversation. And I don't want to do that because it'll be confusing. But the theater piece lends itself to what you were first doing, which you're still doing, but you were focused more on Sheridan Gates, the artist.
Yes.
And you were writing your own material, still writing, I'm sure. You had a series of singles that you were coming out with.
Yeah.
Now, were you taking your own advice then as the CEO of your business? Did you run it that way as you were releasing those songs?
I think yes, a version of it. I think the CEO has grown up a bit over the last few years. But yes, I think, in fact, I was probably a year into Nashville and I reached out. I met Jenny Teeter, who is my best friend, who I'm actually now managing. Spoiling the end of the story, but we went out to a diner one morning for breakfast, and we were just feeling kind of low about our careers and just how do we get this off the ground? How do we start building momentum? Which, thank goodness I had her, because that is so important, is having a community around you of other artists that can really relate. Families are great, but they don't always understand. They're not living it with you. So having her there was such a great support system for us to just motivate each other. And so she said, I've read this book recently all about house concerts, and why don't we just go try this? Let's just call up some people and see if we can make a house concert tour happen for ourselves. And it was sort of this light bulb moment of you know what? Yeah, let's start making our own fate. and owning our worth. And we know that we've got great songs and we've got, I think, fun personalities for the stage.
Sure.
Like, let's go put on a show together. And I swear within like a month, we had a whole 2-week tour of the East Coast put together.
Okay.
And I wasn't even playing guitar at the time. She accompanied me, which, like, props to her.
Now, was this in between the songs that I've played with you, the individual releases, or
yes.
at the same time?
I think it was, oh gosh. I think it was right before.
Okay.
I think it was right before. So it was early. I mean, I jumped right into the studio when I moved to town and recorded songs immediately. So I took those songs on the road with us.
Okay.
And I think that was right before I met you. But so you talk about putting that CEO hat on. I really, that was our version of just going after it and making the career happen for ourselves. How do we monetize? Well, let's put a whole bunch of people in a room that are really going to sit and listen to us and really hear the lyrics, and we're not just background music at a bar, or we're not just an opener. It's our show. We get to design it. We can do covers, originals, and then let's ask for donations to fund our tour at the end of it. And by golly, it funded it.
Yeah.
And then some, so we sold merch. We got people on our email list. We made incredible connections. Some of these people became super fans. This amazing guy I met in the backyard of a smaller house concert tour that we did for about 15, 20 people became a future investor in me.
Okay.
We met such incredible people, and the relationships we built were so much more intentional. It wasn't just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. It was really making those face-to-face connections. People were hearing our lyrics. They were, invested in following us beyond that house concert. So in that sense, I think that was what started this whole CEO mentality of taking ownership.
Do you think that, I wonder if how much of that was the result of you feeling more accountable to the other two girls to make it work? You said something, I don't remember if it was in the interview or before we started, but you made reference to the importance of having a sounding board. And, if you're an artist, you answer to you and your band answers to you, and you're kind of responsible to make things happen. If you are 3 girls putting together a tour, then you become a sounding board for one another, and the accountability things shift.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you don't want to let the other artist down, and
Right.
we're both equally in it. Or, sorry, you're referring to when we brought Meg Williams in and we became a trio. Our first tour was just Jenny and I, and then we added Meg in, and it took off from there.
Okay.
But yeah, I think having them totally made me step up my game too. I wanted to become become a guitar player, and then I wanted to become a better guitar player because Meg is incredible.
Okay.
Songwriting, I wanted to up my songwriting. I started singing harmonies for them, and so I upped my harmonies, learning how to harmonize on the fly, so all of my skills got better because of them.
Right.
So I would encourage any artist out there listening to this to find your tribe, find the friends around you, the people that you really respect, and rather than thinking of them as competition, use each other to lift each other up when you're down and push each other forward, because everybody's got their own lane. I wasn't competing with Meg and Jenny. They're completely different artists. Meg's a blues artist, Jenny's a rock artist. I was sort of filling that country lane. We were totally different.
Right.
And so we had nothing but respect for each other and just wanted to champion each other and, rise together. Because ultimately, right, that's what they say in this town is like you rise with the tide and you find the people around you and you grow together.
Well, so let's drill that down a little bit.
Okay.
Because I have heard people, I was actually on a panel at BMI where they were talking about networking, and the other participants in the panel were talking about how important it is to network with everybody. Yeah. Everybody's a potential connection. Everybody's a this, everybody's a that. And my take on it was much more like what you're talking about, which is no, you go through everybody to find the people that roll the way you roll.
Right.
Now, a lot of people, when they're networking, they're going to go hear people that are doing things that they like to listen to, similar to what they're writing. You were just talking about the girls that you work with that are all different genres. So what is your, what are you looking for when you're choosing your tribe? If it's not people that listen to the same kind of music or write the same kind of way, what is it that makes you go, okay, yes, we would wear the same jersey? What is it you're looking for?
Passion, drive, kindness. Artists that lead with confidence and kindness. Honestly, I really, life's too short to be surrounded by crappy people,
Right.
you know? And I think also surrounding myself with artists that take themselves seriously too and respect their own work
Sure.
is really important to me, because that's going to push me to be better. And it also shows, it just makes me want to be better when you're around people that, it's not an ego thing, you know? I think all artists need to have a little bit of an ego to push through the noise.
Right.
But when I see an artist that's just up there and they're in their own skin and they're doing their thing and they're
Right.
confident and they're also cheering on the artist that went right before them.
Sure.
That's the person I want to be with, you know? You don't always want to be teaching, but you want to learn from the other person as well. You know, it needs to be a give and take, right? So
Yeah.
if you're just constantly, it's only a one-sided relationship where you're helping somebody or you're giving them something, or vice versa, you're always asking them for something, you're going to burn out with that relationship. It's not going to last. So yeah. What do you look for with the people you surround yourself with?
Well, I mean, initially it's very surfacey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you're reading lyrics off your phone and you're doing 4 songs in a writer's round, not interested. You know,
Yeah.
you didn't care enough to learn your song. Why do I think you're going to care enough to help me with something of mine? I would want you to be embarrassed by that.
Even if it's a brand new song that they wrote like that day. The only reason I say that is because writers' rounds, I see that more frequently. I agree. If it's like a performance of your show, you know, then you got to know your stuff.
I would say, even then, don't do it. I mean, I was at a writers' round with a young lady that I had met at an event earlier that day, and she had asked me to come. Oh, you're a musician. Oh, well, we're doing this round. I was like, I'm still in town. I've already played for parking. Sure, I'll go listen to the thing.
Yeah.
And I went to hear her, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. And she did a song that was something new, forgot part of the words, you know, they were trying it out, you know, just kind of want to get some feedback. Okay. Well, I feel like that can be excuses. You know, she asked me later, said, so what'd you think? I'm like, we just met. Do you really want to know?
Uh-oh.
And she said, yeah, I really want to know. I said, I listened to some of your stuff on your website before the round started. I was really excited about what I was hearing. I didn't hear that. You know, it was loose. The harmonies weren't tight. You know, that was part of what I was hearing.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I want to hear that. I want to go hear that live. And what I heard was not that at all. It was sloppy. It was loose, forgotten lyrics. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of bounce these around, see what people thought. And I'm like, you know, it's 11 o'clock. There's only 10 people there.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, you got to be careful. You never know if one of those people might have just been on the Grammy Awards playing a song that they played on that was nominated for a Grammy. And she was like, what's the chances of that? And I said, 100%. That was me. 2 days ago, I was there playing My Kind of Rain with Tim McGraw. Now, the thing is, I won't make that statement and not give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Because I'll say, hey, we've all got an opportunity to learn. I've been put in check by people.
Yeah.
But you don't get more than one time to make a first impression. And
I agree.
That can be the deal breaker.
One of the biggest, I think, lyric or something, it's how they handle it.
Yeah.
And the ones that push through, and it's natural, and you don't even notice it sometimes, or if you do, it's not a like apologetic. They're not apologizing for their mistake. It's like they're moving through it, and that, because hey, mistakes happen, right?
Sure.
But that's one of my favorite things to watch, is how an artist handles a mistake or a flub. It's like this. It's what I always say. This business is a business of resiliency. It's how can you get back up, right? You're gonna get knocked down.
Sure.
You're gonna eat dirt sometimes, and it's can you get up and keep going and be better for it. And I think there's enough people that don't do that. And so if you keep getting back up, you will be successful.
I think the difference is you're gonna get knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
So why throw yourself down?
Yeah.
Do I understand somebody reading lyrics off their phone? Sure. If I'm getting ready to do a round and you show up and I didn't know you were coming, and I want to do the song that we wrote together and I wasn't prepared for it, sure, I understand that. Mm-hmm. But when the primary tools for visibility are Instagram and TikTok, are visual, why do I want to put my phone between my face and your camera?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do it one time and you get away with it, then you think it's not important and you lower the bar. And then you go straight from work at the gas station. So your t-shirt has grease stains on it. And the next thing you know, you haven't learned a new song in 3 years, and you're downtown on Broadway wondering why people aren't interested.
And you know what? I used to do it.
Yeah.
And it actually made me trip up more than it helped me.
Yeah.
Because I was in my head. I was not in my heart, in my body when I was performing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what comes next, as opposed to just trusting my creative instinct.
Right.
And eventually it got to a point where the lyrics were there, but I just didn't look at them. And I knew it. I knew the words. They were there. And so then that crutch, I eventually took it away.
Sure.
But yeah, it's amazing how much it can trip you up having the lyrics there, even more than just make it up. I saw a video yesterday. It was so funny that this just came up, because it was a meme or something of a guy singing the national anthem, and he got the first verse, and then the rest of it was just all made up.
Yeah.
Just completely. And he had a beautiful voice. The melody was there, and he was just singing the wrong words. And you know what? More power to him, because it was cringy because it's the national anthem and like you should know that.
Everybody knows the words.
Yeah. But the way that he just like kept singing and kept saying the same words over and over again, I was like, you know what? He was a professional. He could have just like stopped and apologized and started over or whatever, but he just pushed through. And I don't know. It's just funny that you brought this up, because lyrics can be so tricky. But when you just trust yourself and trust your gut and work hard and practice, you'll be fine, you know?
Just prepare. I mean,
it's your job, right? You're not going to show up to a big meeting,
sure,
around a big desk or conference table as a CEO and not do your homework. It's the same thing for artists.
If somebody had to jump in at the last minute and walk through a play, reading the script, because one of the characters just got hit by a car,
right?
And that's the difference between doing the play and not doing the play. They would walk around on stage and they would read the script. I've seen it done. Never have I seen someone say, well, I got away with carrying the script around tonight. I'll just carry the script around from now on.
Right.
They still knew the next show they were supposed to learn it. So do
your homework.
Do your homework. It helps.
Hey, Troy Castellano here from Instruments for Education. We're at one of our first stops here today on a Friday. We're delivering some tambourines and some shakers for an elementary school classroom. We're at Liberty Elementary School. Hey guys, I'm Troy Castellano. We started Instruments for Education as a way to put instruments into the hands of kids. Sometimes we donate directly to students, sometimes to teachers, and sometimes to full classrooms in their schools. We're based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and we service the Middle Tennessee area. Since we started, we've reached over 100 schools and donated over 500 instruments. If you'd like to make a request for an instrument, or you have an instrument to donate, or would like to contribute financially, visit our website at instrumentsforeducation.org. Thanks for supporting us, and thanks for helping keep music alive.
I know we want to talk about your program, but a lot of what feeds your program is what you learned first as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So pick one of your own releases, kind of walk us through, one of the journeys that you took with one of those songs. Give us an understanding of what you did with one of your songs, what you did with one of your releases, how you wrote it, recorded it, delivered it, what one of those journeys was, before we then talk about how you apply that with the artist you manage and what you're doing with your program.
That's a really good question.
Well, because I'm sure that you use your own journey as an example for certain things. What would one of those be?
I think I probably need to take it back to take it on back.
Yeah.
To Limitless.
Okay.
Because that was my last release a
Right.
couple years ago, before the one that's coming out, and I think I had my head on a little bit straighter for that one. I was more
straighter than
just when I was super green and new, and
Okay.
I just kind of threw the songs out and hope for the best, But with Limitless, I definitely, the recording process was different because I recorded it with a producer who, has a home studio. We did vocals, at a studio in town, but most of it was sort of pieced together through, he would track it at home and send me, and he would, get the bass player to send him tracks, whereas my previous songs had all been tracked together. One day we're all in the studio together, and
Right.
and that was an incredible experience too, that I think every artist should try at least once.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like live musicians all being together. But so Limitless.
Well, and you get to witness how his choice can affect your choice, can affect their choice.
Yes.
And you can move that around, as opposed to, I've been given this box, I know my piece has to fit in this box.
Yeah. So you're right. There's totally pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
And watching a song come together with a live band for the first time, just with a chart, is magic.
Right.
There's nothing, that is Nashville, right? Like, that's just, it's beautiful. I'll never forget recording that first EP like that in the tracking room, beautiful studio where my idols all, track their songs.
Right.
Shania's Come On Over album was tracked there. But anyway, with Limitless, it was obviously done a little different. We went in one day and just focused on vocals. And we packaged it in a way that I really wanted to make more of a statement. I think it was the first time I recorded a song where it wasn't just, oh, I love the song, I'm going to put it out. I really thought about, well, why am I releasing this song? What does it mean? Who could it serve? I was much more intentional going into the marketing part of the release about who my audience was going to be for the song. So much so that I even dared put even just a little bit of politics, which I am not somebody to be politically outspoken, but it was I released it January 1st of 2020.
Okay.
I believe. So, or 21, because it was the pandemic had been going on. And there was just so much political turmoil and everything, and with the pandemic, that I just wanted something that was like, hey, it's going to be okay. The possibilities are, we've been stuck inside for so long with people we love or we don't. Just find your safe space, whatever that may be. For me, it was driving a car. Find your little escape, and don't be afraid to take the time you need to just recharge and center yourself before we all do something stupid.
Sure.
And so I took sort of that messaging and put some images into the music video that were kind of relevant to some of the chaos that was going on around the world. And then with, social media, I was more strategic about the types of posts I made, who I was targeting specifically. I knew that it was going to lead towards a certain demographic.
Right.
I really started focusing on women at that point. I think to me it was just really important to, I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was she has a little cameo, not, a video of her. I wish I could have sat down with her. She made a little cameo. So I knew that my messaging was going to lead towards one group of people. And rather than being scared of that, I think I leaned into it. And I think a lot of artists want their music to be heard everywhere, right? We all do, of course. But when you're a newer artist starting out, you really have to focus in on who you want to serve so that your core initial fan base is going to be the people that dictate kind of where you expand from there. They're the heart of your business, right? So like Taylor Swift, her Swifties, they're a specific type of person.
Sure.
Obviously now she's grown to a tremendous amount of people, but in the beginning, it was, young, female, wishful, dreamers, had high school heartbreaks. It was very specific. They wore certain types. They wore the certain types of clothes. They shopped at certain shops. She was really specific with who she targeted with her music, and I think that's why she now has such a vast fan base, because her core Swifties are core.
Right.
That was really not said very eloquently, but you know what I mean?
Every house has to be built on a foundation of some sort.
Yeah.
So
that was the first song that I really was intentional about that. And then from there, I said, well, how can I really monetize this? Because streaming, we all know, doesn't really get you much these days. So, then I started a Patreon, which I think was a really great tool for me to be able to give my fans a place to all be together, which was also part of my branding and messaging. Was I used the TV show Friends because I loved it, and I had just rewatched the whole series as a way to kind of bring my community together. Everything on my Patreon was Friends themed,
right?
Because I wanted people to not only have a place to come to get more stuff from me, but also to meet each other and use me as just a common, the common denominator. But they can all then hang out and have a community and ask each other, how their day's going. And, we had people really open up and be vulnerable and share about what their struggles are. And, they would come to the forum that was part of Patreon as a safe space. And so I started growing this community and having some extra income. Wouldn't call it extra income for my music. At the same time. And so that's when I really started thinking more like a CEO and taking more of a passion for the business and how the pieces all fit together. Because it's really interesting to me. And because our industry is changing and evolving so quickly with technology, it's like the possibilities are endless. And we don't have to just show the music side to the world. We can share our dogs and our other hobbies and our beliefs and, the fashion and whatever it is, and integrate all of that into ultimately our music fans, I'm
thinking, you were talking about the people making friends through your platform.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought of that in the now virtual sense, but certainly when I was on tour with Tim McGraw, there were groups of girls, more so than guys, but some, that met each other there because they were always on the front. They were always paying for the tickets in those areas. Therefore, they would start recognizing themselves, which I'm sure can happen similarly, I guess, with, emojis and avatars. Like, wait, I always see that purple princess lady on this platform, and So what then takes you from, again, I'm thinking of Maddie True, our conversation with her. I wound up helping her in a lot of ways, still help her a lot of ways in her career, because I've been places she hasn't been.
Right.
I've done things she hasn't done. At what point do you, as a peer of Jenny Teeter, doing the trio things with her, at what point do the two of you say, we're helping each other do this thing as peers, now I'm going to take this responsibility to get you to the next level as her manager? Yes, you have knowledge. Yes, you have skills. Is that just, I would rather spend my time doing those tasks than these tasks? Or how does that occur between the two of you? Because now you're managing her career.
Yeah. A lot of people ask that question, and it's kind of, it evolved over time. It wasn't just like a light switch moment. I think over COVID, when we stopped touring, I did a lot of introspective work. I was working with a coach. I was really honing in on what are my strengths? What am I really good at? And what do I love doing?
Okay, so when you say you're working with a coach, there's a lot of different kinds of coaches.
Yes.
So is this like
coach,
a business coach? Okay.
Business coach. And Lindsay specifically works with artists. So, you know, she herself worked in the industry for many years. And so it's sort of helping artists hone in on their business and their skills and how to monetize their artist career one way or another. And for me, I was just recognizing that the songs I was singing and writing for me were not quite... They weren't fitting. I wasn't feeling super connected to them at the time. And I felt like I was kind of fitting a square peg into a round hole a little bit for me and my own artistry. But I still love performing. I love singing. I love Jenny's voice and her songs. I love singing with her. And so I just sort of naturally, we started joking a little bit about it. Like, oh, I should manage you. Haha. You know, because I love what she's doing, and I was sort of naturally connecting her to people in town. I love making those connections. Kind of like you. You're just great at introducing people and helping people. And I started just taking more coffee meetings and meeting more people and connecting her. And then so between that and then doing some of that work with Lindsay where I was evaluating, you know, I realized I work better in a team. I work better. I can see a lot of the pieces. I can zoom out and see how the pieces fit together for others, but not necessarily for myself.
Right.
And I decided to just lean into that a little bit. And, you know, I asked, teachers were obviously very overrun and just had a huge amount of pressure over the pandemic with virtual teaching. And I thought, well, maybe I could give some music teachers a break and just go talk to their classes for an hour, you know, about demystifying breaking into the music industry and just see how that feels. And so my friend Mark Tress, who was teaching at Belmont at the time, let me virtually speak to his class. I did it. I also spoke to my high school music classes. And really loved, I was seeing a need of like, these kids are just, I was sort of the bridge between academia and the real world.
So am I seeing how the management of her and the development of your program are happening
They're
simultaneously?
happening simultaneously. I know it sounds like I'm kind of taking a roundabout way.
No. I mean, that
you're
makes
exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so once I sort of was, because it was really scary for me to I'm at that first Zoom class. I was like, I felt like a huge imposter. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. What are these kids possibly going to learn from me? And the questions were coming. They wanted to know more. I had people texting me afterwards, hey, can I talk with you? I would love to learn more about this and that. And I was like, my confidence started boosting around, okay, maybe I have the ability to teach or mentor. I never really wanted to go into an academic setting. But maybe I can mentor. And so then that sort of brought the management joke that we had started
Right.
more to the less of a joke and more to the forefront of my mind of, well, maybe this is something I could try, because it marries a lot of my skills of the business with the artist, with my artistry, because I've done the artist thing. I know how
Right.
releases work. I know what artists, what they need when they are on tour and they need
Sure.
to perform. And so Jenny and I just started talking a little bit more seriously about it, and we went to lunch one day and we sat down and we said, well, let's really go over what our expectations would be for each other if we were to do this.
Right.
Because obviously our friendship comes first. Like,
Sure.
that's really important to us.
Well, that should be obvious, but
it should be obvious. I know.
it's the music industry.
People are either like, that's genius that you're working with your best friend, or
Right.
you are crazy.
Right.
Thankfully, now it's been about 1.5 years, and it's wonderful, and it's
Good.
worked, and it's hard. There are times we've had to have hard conversations, like any new business. There's growing pains because, I'm her first manager, and this is the first time I've been a manager. So
Right.
we're both working through this and together and working out the kinks. But I really feel like I've found what I love, because I'm doing the business side, I'm working with an artist, and sometimes for a bonus, I'll go up on stage and sing background vocals for her.
Right.
So I'm kind of scratching all those itches that I have for this industry, I guess, so to speak.
I was at your songwriter
Writer's
event
night,
thing,
yeah. Mhm.
and all of a sudden I'm looking around, and there you are sitting over there on at a table with a wireless mic, singing harmony with somebody on stage. I was like, okay, well, she's still here.
Yeah.
She's still getting her fix. I was like, who's I'm looking for somebody to be
That
singing.
was funny. Usually I would go on stage, but it
Yeah.
was crowded, and I saw the wireless mic, and it was a song that Jenny and I wrote together, and
Yeah.
I figured I'll just sing harmonies from my seat.
I was looking for it.
Did you find it?
Oh
You
yeah.
found the culprit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found it.
I'll never not sing. I've been singing since before I could talk. I love it. I will never not sing.
Well, good.
So,
Good.
and that's why I am putting out a new song finally. So,
Well, and I know that that's coming. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I'm glad I got to kind of.
you can take credit for it, because you brought me back to life a little bit with my artistry. I've had this song, and I've wanted to. It's been done. It's been recorded for 1 year, and it's been written for 2.
Okay, well then I'll take credit for it. That's
you
fine.
can totally take credit for it, because I knew it was coming. I just needed somebody, I think, to poke the bear a little bit to actually do it.
Well,
'Cause
I'm glad this was the
Thank you.
the impetus
Thank
to
you.
make that happen.
Yes.
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 Let's before we get to that,
Yeah.
let's get a little more clarity on you were
Yes.
lurking
Getting to
around new roots, yeah,
Yes.
which is all the things that you're talking about. It's the mentorship. It's only females.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's instruction, but it's not academic.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty exclusive, or I think it is. I say I know. I've just read stuff online and watched some Instagram things. But what is that new Roots program? How are you finding who's participating in it?
Yeah, I'll give you a
that?
little
Yeah.
overview.
Yeah.
So around the time that I was managing Jenny, or pursuing that,
Yeah.
I was speaking at schools. I reconnected with Mark Tress.
And schools is music schools, high schools?
Music school. So, or my high school music class, sort of high school and college music schools. I didn't go crazy. I wasn't doing them that often, but it was just enough for me to realize that mentorship was something that I wanted to pursue.
Right.
And I think was a strength. And so I always try to find the flow of life. I want to work smarter, not harder,
Right.
And so this felt smart to me. I reconnected with Mark, who was teaching at Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually came over to co-write. I was like, well, hey, we've known each other for years, but we haven't really done anything creative. Come on over and we'll write a song. Well, that co-write turned into a 4-hour starting a business together.
Okay.
So we brainstormed. We realized that we both had a similar passion for mentorship. For me, it was, female artists and Mark is a female advocate, and he was on board with that. And I had this concept that I had sort of worked through with Lindsay, my coach. What if we did a weekend experience for artists in Nashville, or more of an intensive, really, for artists all around the country that are serious about pursuing their career, but haven't really, they're just a little naive, or they don't know where to start or how to build their foundation, especially in a town like Nashville.
Right.
So we created this concept, and Mark was just latched onto this idea, and I work better in a team. And so he said, would it be okay if I brainstormed with you? And then by the end of 4 hours, we had the whole weekend planned out, booked. We had our speakers, it was crazy how everything kind of came together. And so the concept is you apply on our website. It's a free application. It's super simple, but we really just want artists, like I said earlier, that really that take themselves seriously, that want to do this
Right.
for a living, first of all. There has to be a level of talent,
Sure.
in order to move the needle for people. So we look for talent and passion and dedication, people that are active, already have some things going for them. You don't need to have crazy numbers on social media or anything, but we just want people that are going to work hard for themselves.
Right.
You as the artist have to be the hardest working one in the room.
Right. Which should be a given.
It should be.
but it's certainly not always.
Right.
So somebody from Oregon wants to be a part of your program.
Yep.
They apply through the website. What are you asking for to try to weigh that out? How do you determine, are they acting on their own behalf?
So we ask a couple of questions. I should just pull it up. But one of them is describe a day in the life, your ideal day in the life 10 years from now. Like, walk me through what one day looks like 10 years from now, from waking up to going to bed. And I look for people that, first of all, take it seriously and really walk me through. They're drinking coffee, they're driving this car, they're doing this, and they're really envisioning a life that involves so much for themselves. Not just music, but they're really dreaming big and thinking about their family and where they want to live and what else is important to them. Because that, to me, is a well-rounded person. They know what they want. They're not to say that that's exactly what's going to happen, but it gives me a sense of who they are and what's important to them. We ask, what their goals are, what their musical goals are, because I want to see if they have projects that they're working on or that they are actively working on their craft, and it's not just something that's been on the back burner. We are definitely not serving tourists, This is not a come to Nashville and try out, no. We really, those are the two big questions that I think give us a lot of insight into who they are. We ask what types of, do you play an instrument? Are you just vocals? Which is, either one is fine. And then we do ask for social media too, just to take a look, because I like to look at it, not so much to see, their numbers. In fact, I don't even care about how many followers you have or don't have. I really look for their personality.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that, because it is such a small group, we really only accept anywhere from 4 to 8 people.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that they're all going to get along, that they're going to be respectful of each other, they're going to be supportive. And so, of course, you don't know somebody from just an application, but you get a good sense.
But if they're comfortable posting a picture of themselves guzzling a bottle of vodka on their Instagram, that tells you something about what their priorities are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those are just a sampling of the questions we ask. And then submit a video of you performing, which is interesting. Some of the videos that people send in, I prefer to see a live video of yourself, because that's the best representation. Because I'll walk you through what the weekend looks like, if that's okay, because that will also feed into more conversation, I'm sure. But they come on a Thursday night, and so we've got all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday of just action-packed itinerary for these artists.
Okay.
They all stayed in Airbnb together, so they're bonding. And then we've been historically using Starstruck Studios right on Music Row. And these artists get to, we bring in a bunch of different industry professionals to give workshops. So we bring in managers, we bring in publicists, we bring in label executives, social media experts, all
For
sorts
like
of
little
people.
pockets of presentation
Exactly.
type
They'll
things?
come in for
Okay.
an hour to 2 hours, depending. Songwriters will come in and tell their story and give a songwriting workshop. I do one-on-one mentoring with the artists. I do mindset coaching, a lot of just, hey, tell me your background. Like, where are you right now in the realm of, your mental health? Because that feeds into your creative self as well. I'm not a licensed therapist, disclaimer, but I try to create a safe environment for them to open up and really tap into. I want to make them cry a little bit.
Hence the latching onto the word safe.
Safe. See? Full circle.
Yep.
Full circle. Yes. No, it's true, because a lot of these artists come and they're either so overwhelmed they're catatonic at first, or they're so dead set on being like a certain person or a certain influencer, or whoever it is they're comparing themselves to, that they're just a shell of themselves. And I want to poke the bear and get to who they really are, who they want to serve, and what's really important to them, so that when they leave after these 3 short days, they are really invigorated to create the best music that they can. And they've got a foundation of a network built in Nashville. So Mark will give them a voice lesson. He's a phenomenal vocalist and voice teacher.
Okay.
He's got so many degrees in that, and he taught at Belmont many years, and so he's wonderful. And then they record on the last day. We're in the studio with a producer, and they bring in an original song or a cover song, their choice. We have a track already done. They send us a track in advance, so we just focus on vocals. I wish we could do it all, but we just don't have the time. So they do vocals, and then we end it with a writer's round where they get to perform. And many of them have never experienced a writer's round, because that's pretty unique to Nashville.
Right.
And so if they're not from here, typically it's their first one.
And if they go find one on their own, they may get a lame one in a loud bar.
Right. We try and keep the caliber high, or it's a listening room setting.
Literally the listening room? Or
not the listening room, no.
Okay.
We've done a couple different places. The Cambria True Music Room. We've done Sunny's, has a great listening room type setting. So we've kind of bounced around locations depending on schedule, but we also try to give them a taste of the city too. So we do a tour of the Ryman Auditorium, which everyone should do. It's a great tour. You learn a lot about the history of Nashville. It's really beautiful. And we do take them to the listening room to see a show, to actually see just a little bit higher caliber, hit writers, and just see what that's all about. And they do that the night before they get to then perform. So, in addition, no, go ahead. Sorry. I'm talking too much.
No. So when they finish that, is there a
That's just the beginning.
Okay, so there's a follow-up something.
So they're immediately put into a group chat with all the other alumni that have gone through the program, because we want these girls to all have a community that they can connect with each other. They're always saying like, hey, does anybody know somebody in this, or can you refer me to that? Or, hey, I got this contract and looks a little fishy. Do you guys mind taking a look at it? And we'll just all support each other. Hey, I've got a new song coming out. Will you guys all go pre-save it or show this post some love? All be there for each other. And so that is a huge, that is the heart and soul of New Roots, and why we started it, is to educate, but also give these artists the confidence and the community that they can lean on if and when they decide to actually move to Nashville. Because many of them do decide to move here after New Roots. Right. Because they feel they've got a starting point.
An understanding of what it's all about.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And then they get a big access to a spreadsheet that's all of our contacts of trusted individuals in all parts of the industry, videographers, photographers, managers, agents, whatever it may be.
Right.
And we just keep updating that. And they have access to that forever and ever.
So I guess part of the mindset coaching is that's when you kind of help somebody recognize that the reason they can't release their own music is because they distract themselves with taking care of everybody else first, and then they don't put their own stuff out.
or they're so focused at me. I know. See, this is what he does to me. Yes, I know. But for me, it wasn't, I got to a place where it wasn't avoidance and it wasn't fear that was stopping me. And I think that's the difference.
Right.
I released some of my artistry because I felt a pull and a passion towards this other side of the business.
Which I completely understand.
You know?
I completely understand,
Yeah.
and I'm on board.
Yeah.
What I would encourage you to do, and maybe this is what you're doing, but you just don't see it through this lens, because this is what I am doing. I've never wanted to be an artist. I never dreamed of being an artist. I never had the dream that all these people have of being something. But I realize that it helps me be a better mentor.
Yes.
If I'm able to say, I'll use myself as the guinea pig.
Yeah.
And am I going to try to do what you're doing? No.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know why I think that posting more than once every 3 months is helpful? Because I post more than once every 3 months.
Yes.
And
Walk the
I
walk.
can at least avoid the opportunity of being saying, well, what do you know about releasing a song?
Yeah.
I've released something,
Yeah.
I've made something. What do you, because I was looking for this and I was trying to have trouble finding it. I can find things about what the program looks like. I can find things on YouTube where you talk about, if you participate, this is what it is. I had trouble finding the aftermath. Here's an artist saying,
That is exactly what we are working on.
Okay.
Right now on our website. Yes.
Okay. Well, let me offer this, because I did find this.
What is
So
it?
take a look at this, and then you can let us know what that's about. You have to hit play.
Okay. Oh, it was muted. Okay.
Hi, my name is Riley and I'm a recording artist and alumni of the New Roots Intensive. Jeff wanted me to come by to share the impact and empowerment that Sheridan has given me as a New Roots artist. I came to Nashville fearful
What is
and
this?
just not confident in myself, and you know who the first person was to believe in me? Sheridan. She was my biggest cheerleader and encouraged me and told me that I could be anything I wanted to be. In the studio, she was on the intercom talking to me through the mic saying that I could do it and I got this. And for my show, for my debut writers round, she was front row cheering me on. She helped me to believe in myself, and every night when we get home from a long days of work, she would have us pull an affirmation card to show how much she loved and believed in us. Sheridan is smart, talented, strong, fierce, and such a force in this industry. I'm so lucky to have been mentored by her, and I hope she knows how incredibly loved and appreciated she is.
Well, shoot. Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
was. Wow.
I was trying to find what I thought was a clear result of what was going on, because I know they're there, but I couldn't find it, and so I had to go look for it.
Well, what are you doing to me? Thank you. That is Riley
Because sometimes
is
it's
incredible.
hard. Sometimes it's hard to know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure. I was like, well, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Are they getting this back?
Yes.
So I was like, explain to me what we're talking about. And yeah.
Well, Riley is incredible. She came to our program in February,
Right.
and she has just been such a shining light. And our journey together has been great because she applied, and then we had a couple email exchanges, but she came to town for a visit just on her own.
Right.
And she reached out to us, and she said, not expecting a response, could I maybe grab coffee with one of you? And I
Right.
happened to be free, and I said, absolutely. And
Sure.
we just had an amazing, hour and a half coffee and just connected on such a great level. But I didn't know the impact that I had on her until that. So thank you. That was
You're
such
welcome.
a gift. That was
You're welcome.
really special, and I will treasure that forever.
Well, no, that's one of the things that we can't always know,
Yeah.
And so now I will say,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm in trouble for this, but she's very excited that you're releasing something. I didn't tell her what it was.
Okay.
She was like, who is this person reaching out to me? So you've got a song coming out. We did our version of that.
Yes.
So we're going to share that, and then we're going to come back and talk about the song for a second.
Okay. Let's do it.
And the song is
Back to the Basics.
So here we go.
Let's do it. I blinked. Suddenly we're no longer 17. My dreams are turning into reality. And I finally feel the years catching up with me. You and I have something undeniable, but life can get you caught up in the push and pull. All these bills we've been paying, it's more than money they're taking. Let's slow it down and take it back. Take it back. Back to the basics. No complications, baby. Let's take it back. Back to the days when nothing could faze us. Back to the basics. What we need is a night at home alone, just you and me. Simple conversation, put away the screens. Bottle of Merlot and our memories coming back to me, yeah. 'Cause you and I have something undeniable, and we just need to reignite the fire, boy. We've been lost in distractions, we're just like two ships in passing. Let's slow it down and take it back. Take it back. Back to the basics. No complications, baby. Let's take it back. Back to the days when nothing could faze us. Back to the basics. Don't need a lesson on loving you. All we gotta do is remember to take it back. Ooh, baby, let's take it on back. Why don't we take it on back? Ooh, back to the basics. No complications, baby. Let's take it back. To the days when nothing could faze us. Back to the basics. Yeah. Let's take it on back. Ooh, let's take it on, take it on, take it on back. Back to the days when nothing could faze us. Back to the basics. Yeah.
So that is Back to the Basics,
Yes.
version 1.
Version 1.
So
Yes. Acoustic.
how did we wind up doing that song? I know it's connected to friends of mine.
Yes.
But,
I wrote that song with Zach Stone and Tolan Shaw.
Okay.
The three of us have written a bunch of songs together for Zach. And we wrote this song one day. I think we might have just written it. It was so relatable to me, but it was originally written actually with the intention of being sung by a guy.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact mentality with that. But once we finished the song, I had been really trying to explore a new sound that was a little less traditional country, or a little less contemporary country, and more kind of like Sheryl Crow, like trying to find a little bit more soulfulness in my voice.
Right.
And so we started writing the song, and about halfway through, I realized, oh, this is cool. This is a vibe. I really like this. It's different. I tend to write a lot of like slower songs, and this one just felt fun and refreshing and super relatable to lyrically too. So I asked the guys if it would be okay if I recorded it, and I just changed, I think, one pronoun from he to she or boy, girl to boy or something.
Which is very easy to do nowadays.
It very much is, yes. Change whatever you want. All is welcome. But yeah, so they said, sure, go for it, and recorded it a year ago with the same person I recorded Limitless with.
Okay.
And so Dustin was his name, Dustin Kirkendall, and he's my business coach's husband, funnily enough. And I'm just super pumped with how it came out. It's got, just wait till you hear the full version. You got to go listen. It'll be out August 25th. And it's just fun. It's beachy. It's got that, like, what's that wood instrument that you like?
Oh, the
yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't think of what it's called.
I should know.
It's in a lot of
Jonathan, do we have the brain room here? Do we know?
Put it in the comments.
Okay.
Comments below. So anyway, the production's really cool. Yeah. But I was so glad that you asked me to do this because the acoustic version, because you're a phenomenal piano player, and I grew up on piano. I love keys, and your spin on it is just great. It's chill. It's got that just, the room was vibey, so I hope y'all liked it.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And the thing is, the way you described the song feels to me like the way we did it.
Yeah.
You know,
which
is yeah, well, not only the title, but just let the you know, if it grooves, that's where it's going to be, you know? So I mean, you could almost sing it with just finger snaps.
Totally.
And just do the thing. So
yeah. No, thank you for accompanying me. It was really fun to do that.
Thank you.
At that
my pleasure.
Warehouse. I don't even know where we were. It was cool.
Yep. Yep.
So that I'm super excited for that song to be out. I'm reinvigorating some of my own artistry, and
you can tell all your people that, look, I'm an artist too. See?
Yes.
I'm doing what I'm encouraging you to do.
I will always make a point to, if I'm going to talk the talk, I got to walk the walk, and I'm not giving it up.
Or stroll the stroll. Well, it's out now, so you're committed.
Yes.
We've told everybody release dates.
Yep, it's happening.
It's all happening. So make sure everybody knows how to find it. Go here.
Yes. So Sheridan, like the hotel, but spelled differently. I'm sure it'll be on this video. Sheridan Gates is my name, and all of my socials are at Sheridan Gates. And if you would like to find more about New Roots, our website is wearenewroots.com or New Roots Nashville on Instagram. And there's an application on there. It's totally free to apply. And hope that you all will come check it out, because we also have lots of events that we do, like you saw the other night, our Writers' Night. We put on fun, free Writers' Nights. If you want to participate, just send us a DM. And we're always doing free webinars and workshops as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Very good. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure. Love you.
You too. And there you have it, our interview with Sheridan Gates. I'm so glad Sheridan's got new music coming out. And for those of you trying to navigate the music industry, especially you young ladies, check out New Roots. Sheridan's a great resource, and she's got the heart of a teacher. If you've been following McMahon on Keys since the beginning, our first guest was Caroline Kidd. And Caroline's got a new song out this week, Whiskey Lies. So y'all check that out. Certainly subscribe to McMahon on Keys so you get notified for upcoming episodes. I do want to thank Randy Allen for the video work on Back to the Basics, Tommy Leland for capturing the audio and mixing the song for us, Jonathan Warren for helping us capture the interview, and Turk McNamara for opening the doors to Turk's Lounge and keeping Nashville how it used to be. If you've got any thoughts or anything you'd like to share with us, email us at jeff@mcmahononkeys.com. And until next time, this is McMahon on Keys.